Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Zietz, and I am the CEO and founder of Gladiator Lacrosse. Like every entrepreneur, my business started with a problem that needed to be solved. I grew up in an entrepreneurial home. My father was an EO, and I grew up going to EO events and noticing the passion and drive common among entrepreneurs, and knew that someday, hopefully, I would be a part of that. Little did I know that I could start a business at just 13 years old. Gladiator Lacrosse sells sports equipment, specifically lacrosse equipment that is high quality at an affordable price point. For those who are unfamiliar, lacrosse is a fast-paced sport and is one of the fastest growing sports in America today. My idea for Gladiator Lacrosse came from my personal experience as a player. I would practice with my competitors' products, and they would begin to rust and tear, and I knew that there had to be a better way. So, Gladiator Lacrosse was born. I knew the business idea was valid after talking with teammates and coaches, and I was excited to impact the sports community in a positive way. One of the first selling ideas I had for the company was to sell my equipment at local lacrosse tournaments. Often, I was the only equipment vendor at the tournament, an innovative way to differentiate myself from the competition. At the tournament, not only did I work the booth, but I actually hold up a sign saying currently playing when I was playing lacrosse games, and then would alternate selling at the same tournament. In one weekend alone, early on, we did over $10,000 in sales. And that's when I knew Gladiator Lacrosse was going to be huge. A lot of people wonder how a 13, 14-year-old can run a multi-million-dollar company. I have to credit a lot of my early success to a mom and pop shop called Amazon. I'm currently building a brand that is now a leader in its category on Amazon, so much so that they asked us to be featured in an Amazon commercial, which you can actually see a picture of here. This is one of our shipment containers. I started with two products, a lacrosse goal and a lacrosse rebounder, two essential products to improve any lacrosse player's game. And now we have over 50 different SKUs developed. All of this eventually led to Shark Tank. I was 15 years old when I pitched on the hit television show, and I can say today that it was one of the best experiences of my life. While I was already super nervous to be presenting in front of millions of viewers, one of the sharks or judges, Kevin O'Leary, was looking at me while I was setting up my set and locked eyes with me and said, "I'm going to obliterate you." And I was terrified, but I trusted my company, the brand I had spent so long building, and had an amazing time presenting. While I did not get a deal, this just fueled me even more. And I would love to share a clip of that with you guys today.
Next up is a young entrepreneur seeking to grow the popularity of her favorite sport.
Hi, Sharks. My name is Rachel Zietz, and my company is Gladiator Lacrosse.
After Shark Tank, things that I had on my business plan for 10, 15 years down the line were happening now. We were able to secure a partnership deal with Casey Powell, arguably one of the best lacrosse players in the world, has numerous medals and achievements, and was an idol to me growing up as a lacrosse player myself. Additionally, we were able to secure deals with Dick's Sporting Goods and Walmart. And there's a picture of me in the top right, actually at a lacrosse tournament at a Dick's Sporting Goods, and being able to see my products there filled me up with so much joy. And what better way to have your dreams as a lacrosse player or sports enthusiast come true than to be the official goal sponsor of the World Lacrosse Cup, servicing over 50 countries. This was just the start of spreading the game of lacrosse on a global scale. And all of this early success led to a lot of recognition. Sources like Time Magazine, Most Influential Teams, USA Today, Fortune, and even being named to the Forbes 30 Under 30 for the retail category, the youngest member ever of the category. And I know I'm making this sound really easy, but it definitely wasn't. Like every business, we had our challenges, some huge, some minor, and definitely a ton of obstacles along the way. And I really want to share a quote here today. We had a lawsuit with a big law firm, and it says here today, "It's just in this case that there's a better excuse than usual. 13-year-old kids aren't supposed to succeed in business or appear on Shark Tank." Growing up, my parents and friends always told me to stand up to bullies, and that's exactly what I did here. I went to mediations, I was deposed, and I won, and they ended up paying me. And I like to think of this as a huge win for young entrepreneurs everywhere. Earlier last year, I acquired All Ball Pro to expand my market for Gladiator Lacrosse, something that I definitely didn't think I'd be doing as a teenager. The business we acquired was bleeding cash. We went in, restructured the manufacturing process and the pricing model to draw more success. And so I want to share a little clip of that product here today. I started Gladiator Lacrosse as a consumer-to-consumer brand. Backyard lacrosse goals, backyard rebounders for an individual player. But I knew that we had to tap into the commercial market. I didn't want to just be a consumer products company. I had the vision for the future of this brand being so much more than just lacrosse. This product itself is so unique in that everyone wanted it. It allowed us to tap into the commercial market, but also drag along all of our other products in the process. Currently, we have over 50 of the top Division I programs using our rebounders. This is the top college sports program using our products, including Princeton, the school I attend, because how could I attend school and not make sure that they were using our equipment too? And I couldn't have done any of this without the constant support of mentorship and those in the community who continue to advise and support me. Naomi has taught me a lot about what it means to be a female CEO in today's business world, and my parents are great mentors in life and in business. I knew that it was very important to build a team around a brand that was just as passionate about it as I was, and that's why I hired a full-time COO, a sales team, marketing team, who all work together to bring this company to life and are just as excited about its future growth as I am. Now, it's exciting that the company has grown tremendously, but this was all built around a mission of spreading the game of lacrosse nationwide and globally. That is why we are always trying to provide equipment or other resources to start lacrosse programs to schools who maybe aren't as fortunate enough to be able to create them on their own, giving the game of lacrosse that has brought me so much joy as a player to others as well. I took it upon myself to join the board of the World Lacrosse Foundation, helping injured and sick lacrosse players with recovery, as I believe that it is a tight-knit and supportive lacrosse community. And I want to continue to pay it forward to that community. I want to thank you for listening to this presentation. I am so fortunate for everything I've learned with this business along the way, and that I continue to learn on a day-to-day basis. Looking back, little did I know that now, 5 years later, I would have a company of over 10 employees that is going to exceed $5 million in revenue and will be named to the Forbes 30 Under 30 list. I want to thank you guys all again so much, and I would love to open it up to questions.
Thank you, Rachel. That was phenomenal. I love your composure. You're so calm. Can't tell that you're nervous at all. Maybe you're not nervous. Would also love to know who your parent is that's an EO. I think we all would. Let's start with questions. Shannon, take it away.
Hi, Rachel. Let me put my hand down. So congratulations. You have accomplished a huge amount to date. What do you consider to be your biggest challenge that you've overcome or your biggest failure as an entrepreneur so far?
I think one of our biggest challenges that we continue to face on a daily basis is demand planning. I just have not been able to grab that one down pat. And it comes with things that, you normally don't anticipate. So when I mentioned Shark Tank, what does that look like on a demand aspect? How do I know what quantity of rebounders or goals I need to manufacture in anticipation of those sales? When huge events happen in the lacrosse community, new regulations occur, a new school adds a lacrosse program, we see those spikes as a receiving end for us. I also originally thought that Q2 and Q3 would be huge for lacrosse because it's played tons during the summer. And then when I learned about fourth quarter Christmas sales and that the holiday season was a huge selling point, then I realized, oh, we actually need to shift our inventory towards Q4. And so it's constantly working with that and understanding that I don't want to disappoint our customers by not having equipment ready, but also trying to plan for growth and any, variability along the way.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Jessica, next question.
Rachel, congratulations on the success of your business and with a sport that you are passionate about. I have two questions. One, I'm curious if you're still playing lacrosse in college. And my second question is, what's your long-term plan? What do you see as success for you, either with this business or with something else?
Yeah, so I am still playing lacrosse. I started playing in 4th grade and I'm playing to this day. Cannot seem to give it up yet. And additionally, for like long-term goals, I see Gladiator Lacrosse becoming a lifestyle brand, the same way that you hear about Under Armour starting with just sports equipment, padding, and football, expanding to all things football, becoming this huge brand. I see the same vision for Gladiator Lacrosse. And so we started, lacrosse products. But now with the acquisition of All Ball Pro, that was kind of our stepping stone into additional areas. And so baseball, you saw, that was a video of me playing all the different sports. So it didn't look super great, but it's used for baseball, soccer, football, volleyball. It's hiring a team that can kind of take reins on those different sports and kind of go to action plans and see, okay, what's needed here? Like, what are we missing in this market? And that's how I can see Gladiator Lacrosse growing in the future.
Thank you, Rachel. Let's move on to Khurram. Your question?
Hi, Rachel. Very, very impressive. Hats off to you, what you've achieved in this age. Very well done. My question to you is two-part question. I'm only going to get one time. So how many hours do you work on average, and what motivates you?
Oh, a lot of things motivate me. On the hour side, it depends on a daily basis, on a week-to-week basis. As I've hired team members on the team, a full-time CEO, I've taken a lot of the daily aspects out of what I do. But I would say on a daily basis, about 4 to 5 hours a day on this business, really honing through things, team calls, etc. Balancing that between school, lacrosse, definitely a challenge in itself. The thing that motivates me the most, I like to give a little anecdote. I was playing at a local lacrosse tournament and also set up a vendor booth and a tent selling my equipment in between my games. And I had a little girl walk over to my tent to buy equipment. And I put a little poster of the first article that was ever written about me at the tent to show people, hey, like I'm actually the owner of this company, but also playing in the tournament. And she came up to me and was like, that's you? Like you started this business, you did this? And I was like, yeah, like it's really fun. It's really cool. And I'm also able to play the sport that I love. And she was like, I absolutely need to buy this from you because like the founder is currently selling me the equipment. And that just like, I just got so excited from hearing that. I've had instances where I've played in lacrosse games and like girls will chat in between plays and I'll have someone tell me like, oh, I just like went to the Dick's Sporting Goods and I got a new rebounder. And I'm like, okay, what brand? And they'll be like, oh, this new brand that kind of came out, like that's really high quality, Gladiator Lacrosse. And I was like, okay, don't freak out. But I actually run this business and I've created the product. So to hear that from you is amazing. And so like, it's little stories like this along the way that I think really push me through tough days, challenges, and anything that, comes along the way.
That's super cool, Rachel. Thank you for sharing. Kishore, your question.
As a person, when you manufacture this, I'm assuming is it manufactured in US or?
So part of our products are manufactured in the US and other products are manufactured overseas.
So did you face any supply chain challenges with COVID and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so we've definitely had to pivot because of COVID. There was a lot of changes that we made to our business. So luckily we ordered a huge inventory based on just projections before COVID hit. So we actually had a month before COVID hit, we had another containment of equipment arrive. And that was a huge blessing for us. During the process, it was very challenging because things were closed down. And so we had to think, what could we do? So with our products that are manufactured in the US, we actually created a mini rebounder out of excess metal from our larger rebounders. And that worked in two ways. One, we were using the excess resources and not letting anything go to waste. Additionally, we were creating a product that I didn't know people would love to use when they were locked indoors in their homes. And so we partnered with another company that creates soft lacrosse balls that don't break any windows, could be used indoors. And we kind of created a bundle deal where we set up, hey, get these lacrosse balls with your mini rebounder that you can use in your dorm room, which I have one in my dorm room, which you can use in your home, your office, smaller spaces when we're all, enclosed. And so that ended up being a huge pivot for us as a result.
Thanks, Rachel. We've got a couple more questions. Daniel, you're up next. Daniel, you're mute.
The famous words, I'm sorry. Rachel, you are fantastic. It's such a joy hearing you talk about your experience and what you have accomplished in your life so young. And I would really like to know what motivates you to keep going to school. What do you search there? What is your objective in keeping on studying? We see so much that you have accomplished so soon and all the possibilities. So why do you still go to school?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've seen it in the classroom. I know that I've learned so much from being a actual CEO and founder and, doing the hands-on work of running a business. There's so much a classroom can teach you about that. But I'm also not, oblivious to the fact that there's so much more to learn. I'm constantly learning things on a day-to-day basis about school, about business, whatever. But it's the classes that I take at school. So I'm taking classes surrounding entrepreneurship topics, and it's going to my professors and being like, okay, so for this problem, my company, and then getting the entire class to evaluate things about my business, take that information, apply it back, and then take what I've learned from running a business and apply it to a classroom setting. We were talking about building a website one day and marketing spend, and our teacher had put up this number on the board, and I'm like, that's just not accurate. I'm like, there's no way that you're going to be able to do it with that little cash. I'm like, I'm just telling you, I tried and it didn't work at all. And so there's days like that where I'm just like, it's funny and it's anecdotal because student teacher, but maybe I have a little more experience in consumer products and they created a fintech startup or a software company. And so it doesn't always parallel, and just being able to get feedback from professors, from classmates on things is just as valuable as what I learn in the business world. So that definitely motivates me to stay in school.
Rachel, I think we have time for one last question from Brad. Brad, coming up.
For the chat, just where do we send your EO application, I guess. Second, it's as far as two things: quick profit margins on the 5 million you're projecting, and thirdly, just the biggest thing you took away from that acquisition experience that you learned.
Yeah, so really quickly, we gross 50%, net 25, and then in terms of acquisition, I learned a lot about due diligence. I ended up flying out to the state of the location, learned that a Panera Bread is called a St. Louis bread company. Didn't know that. But went out and actually conducted physical due diligence. Something I just didn't know was a part of an acquisition. I thought it was more like we meet, we talk, we like the idea, we figured something out. Originally, I never went in with the intention of acquiring the business. I was looking for a partnership of sorts because I had other commercial products and I wanted to, partner and create another bundle type thing. And then it really ended up being an acquisition when I saw how unprofitable this business was, but how I knew how to fix it. And so it's been great because it was taking on an additional team as well that I had never hired in the first place. I took on the existing team of the other company, and marrying that with Gladiator Lacrosse has been a great experience in the process.